LeBron James decided that he wanted to come out and endorse Kamala Harris for President of the United States of the Americas. Let's check it out, and then we're going to go over to CNN. So we're going to get the MSNBC take, and then we're going to go to CNN. So we're going all liberal for this particular story in order to break it down. Check it out, y'all.
Huge news breaking moments ago. If you're a fan of excellence on the court and democracy in general, NBA superstar LeBron James has announced his endorsement for Vice President Kamala Harris, citing the racist comments about Puerto Rico made at Donald Trump's Madison Square Garden rally. LeBron James writing to his 53 million followers on Twitter and 159 million followers on Instagram. This, quote, "What are we even talking about here? When I think about my kids and my family and how they will grow up, the choice is clear to me. Vote Kamala Harris."
Now, here's my question to you guys before we go over to CNN. As LeBron James has thrown his hat into the ring, and I don't know if he was at a Diddy party or not. Who knows? It seems like there's a pattern of people that are endorsing Kamala Harris that goes right up that alley, no pun intended. But let's remove the Diddy party whole thing of whether or not people are on tapes or not, and let's have a conversation, right? He says, what are we even talking about here? When I think about my kids and my family and how they will grow up, the choice is clear to me. LeBron, respectfully, you just got your son in the NBA through nepotism, in which I support. I believe in leveraging your visibility and your privilege and the hard work that you do to create a path in order to leave a legacy for your kids to benefit off of. I am 100% in support of. That is where one of the rare issues where me and my dog, my good friend, shout out to Kwame Brown, me and Kwame Brown had a disagreement about that. We talked about it. And I am 100% in favor of nepotism. So I'm objective enough to acknowledge that LeBron, I argued in his favor with Slimmy last night and said, no, he was a great leader on the court. May not be the greatest of all time, but we have to acknowledge his greatness on the court. I could separate the entertainment and who he is as a father because I believe that he's a good father. I believe that he's a great husband. I believe he's a model of perfection of when it comes to presenting yourself and living without any scandal or flaws. We're going to wait to see who's on those Diddy tapes, maybe. But up to this point, I think that he's been a model for what the family unit should look like when you become successful, that then allows for you to create a pathway for your sons and your daughter and your wife to benefit. Savannah been playing her role beautifully. LeBron in a great space. But let's be very, very clear. I do not agree with LeBron on a lot of these issues that he then champions and puts his hat in the ring for, yet he has no idea. And listen, he's been rich for a long time, well over 2 decades now. 20 plus years in the league. I believe it's 22 at this time. And he's deserved it. Every dime that he gets, he's deserved it. But he said, when I think about my kids and my family and how they will grow up, the choice is clear to me. What choice? What choice? What are you talking about? You just got your son a deal, and he just made his first NBA bucket on the Cleveland Cavaliers, and he played for the Lakers. I go, what is you talking about? And these celebrities, they aggravate me so much because they try to act like they so relatable. Oh, man, when I think about the environment that my sons is going, man, what are you talking about, bruh? Your son date white girls, and he put up shots for the Lakers. And he there because his father was able to craft the pathway for him. What you talking about, Willis? Meanwhile, immigrants is coming over here, flooding the country. 12,000 jobs was added last quarter. And people is getting through out of their houses on their ears. And this is one of the people. Look, it's funny because he'll stand up and say some wild stuff about this, but he ain't say nothing about China. You know why? Because they buy his shoes. They manufacture and buy his shoes. This is CNN's take on a panel of LeBron James and his whole take of endorsing Kamala Harris, which I don't think that it moves the needle. If anybody is so weak nowadays to where they take a celebrity endorsement to determine whether or not they would vote for a candidate, you weak. you weak. But this is what CNN had to say in a panel of people. I have not seen it yet, but I thought that I wanted to throw this in there just to get a round table of people from other networks other than Fox News to see what they got to say. Let's check it out.
Well, Donald Trump can hang himself with his own words, number one. Number two, let's recall it wasn't that long ago when somebody told LeBron to shut up and dribble. I'm glad.
Shout out to my girl, Laura Ingraham. She was absolutely right. And in hindsight, she was right 10 times over.
He rejected that advice then. I'm glad he's rejected that advice now. These personalities, these celebrities, these stars have their own agency. They are indeed fellow citizens, and I celebrate them speaking out. I'm not so sure what it actually does. I'm not sure people vote a particular way because LeBron said do this or do that. And I'm also concerned, Abby, about whether or not this string of celebrity endorsements plays into that narrative that Kamala is an elitist candidate. That does concern me. But at the end of the day, every one of us ought to be engaged in this process, and that includes celebrities like LeBron James.
Yeah, it is a fair concern because, I mean, nobody is surprised when a celebrity comes out for a Democrat. But I don't know that that's what she needs right now.
Look, I thought that...
Hey, we at the point where people are saying, yo, we don't even want your endorsement. That gotta hurt. That gotta sting. Because honestly, I believe that they're making it worse for her. The more celebrity and the more elitists that come out and say, yeah, we endorse Kamala Harris for president, the more out of touch and the more we realize that all of these people is probably just on some tapes that they don't want to get out. Why would he advocate for being taxed more? That makes no sense. Why would he advocate for a party that talks about removing unwanted pregnancies because they're using it as a form of contraception? Why would he advocate for, well, I'm answering my own questions. Let's continue.
It wasn't very effective because it was such an exercise in hyperbole and selective edits and putting it together with, videos from the civil rights movement and stuff. Twisting Trump's words in ways that weren't meant from a president that, for some strange reason, made funding for black colleges automatic, right? Not exactly the kind of thing a white supremacist would do. I thought that we were actually chatting before about Arnold Schwarzenegger's endorsement of Kamala, which was much more effective because what he didn't do was implicitly judge Trump supporters, say, you're racist, essentially, which is the subtext of this edit. He actually went a long way to kind of agreeing with them in certain ways and saying, I get it. I'm actually, conservative in these ways, but I'm still voting for Kamala, and I don't judge you for having your opinion. I thought that was way more effective.
You talk about twisting people's words, and you are twisting LeBron James' endorsement right now by saying he's calling all of you racist. He's not. He's saying Donald Trump is racist. Here's the proof. Here are his words. There are people who fought really hard for me to have the right to exercise my right to vote.
You know all of this is coming from the comedian that was at Madison Square Garden that made jokes about everybody, including the people over in Puerto Rico, right? Now, all of a sudden, because even Trump said, listen, I don't even know who they booked. Really don't make no difference to me. That ain't got nothing to do with me. I don't even know who the person is. Now, all of a sudden, you know who's the most racist right now, today in 2024 than anybody else? LeBron James. Only reason he's not a full-blown racist, in my opinion, is because he get a check. He get a check by the very people that he's against. These elite black people think that they're so much better than everybody else, and then they start claiming racism, yet they get their checks from the very people that they claim racism from. They live this privileged life, do what they want, say what they want, get anything that they want. Their kids have never known anything except for success. They talk so negative about people and they can't wait to throw around a racist word. They endorse Black Lives Matters, even though they don't come back and say that we was wrong and we endorse a Marxist organization that took all of y'all money and then ultimately bought mansions with it. And they are some of the most racist people that I've ever heard in my entire life. If you want to know what a person that looks like that's racist looks like, go and talk to some of these black people and look at the way that they talk inside of their household. Bring home a snow bunny and see what happens. You talking about bringing home a black man? Bring home a snow bunny instead and see what happens. Look, if you want to do a test this Thanksgiving, go and get you a white friend. Have them pretend like they're your girlfriend or they're your boyfriend. that you seriously considering marrying them, do an experiment, a real life experiment, and then see what the sentiment is afterwards. See how they treat her. See what they say. That's how you'll be able to tell whether or not your family is still racist or not.
Vote. I will do so, and I'm going to do so publicly. Now, I will tell you, there were a lot of celebrities who for a long time did not want to get involved.
And don't just get a regular snow bunny. Don't get one that's shapely, you know what I'm saying, that got some black in her. Maybe she even got a BBL. Who knows? Don't get one that is super duper 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 light skinned. Get you a real milk of magnesia. I'm talking about from the mountains of Caucasus, briefcase booty. You know what I'm saying? Maybe got a rack on her, but really, really flat in the back. Go get you one of them. Go get you a Sarah Silverman. And make sure her name is something real white. Real white, not something that could be negotiated on both sides. Don't get you a Nicole. Don't get you a Claudia. Don't get you none of that. Don't get you a Sarah. Don't get you none of that. Get you a milk of magnesia. Get you somebody whose last name got hot at the end of it. Or Bach. Auerbach. Go get you something like that. Go get you somebody whose name, oh, what's your name, honey? Get you a what's your name, honey?
I think that Trump amnesia that we were
talking. Make sure she can't dance on beat either. So that when they turn on the music for the cookout, have her dance aggressively and make sure she off beat. And then see what they say about her. See if it's okay to marry her. Just a social experiment.
About earlier in the year has been cured. I think that Madison Square Garden rally was a catalyst for those who had forgotten, who had still forgotten, to pay attention and remember the division, the hostility, the misogyny, the racism, just the horrible chaos that comes with this guy. It was a fiasco.
And I didn't see, coming respectfully, I didn't see any of Donald Trump's words being twisted in the video that LeBron posted, number one. I am
curious about what words
I didn't see any twist, number one. And number two, it's okay for campaigns to edit video to make their commercials, but it's not okay for LeBron to do that?
I'm also curious. What are the words that you say are being twisted?
So, he actually has a production company, so it could have been his.
But not him himself. It's beside the point.
You think he didn't okay? You think he didn't approve what he put out?
Beside the point.
Ain't nothing like getting attacked by a bunch of liberals.
Tell us what you think is being taken out of context.
I think so. When you cobble together videos from the 50s and 60s of the civil rights movement, and you have Donald Trump saying essentially, "These people are terrible," what you're implying is that he is like the white segregationists of the 50s and 60s who thought black people were lesser human beings, should not deserve to vote.
That's exactly what he meant. That's exactly what he meant.
Okay, but that's not anything Trump has ever said.
Well, I think
so that is
I guess what you're saying that he's taking Trump's words out of context. I think Trump's words were in context. It's just that they were put alongside things that you objected to.
But you think asking for the death penalty for 5 young men of color, black and Latino, and then never apologizing, never acknowledging that he was wrong?
Yes, I do. I believe that that's valid. Because at the time, everybody thought that they was guilty based off of the confession. When you get new information, and he wasn't even just talking about them. If you look at the newspaper ad, and again, they doing about something from the 80s. Look, man, I might have said a couple things about white people back then that may not have been approved back in the 80s when I was 9 years old. Because that's the way that my family raised me. They was calling them all kind of saltines and sardines and all kind of stuff. Telling you that y'all putting raisins inside of your potato salad and everything. Come on, man. Listen, we don't want to hear that. We tired of people running in the victim Olympics. But again, LeBron James, he decided that he wanted to endorse Kamala Harris president, and he led with some racist sentiment to try to justify it because we all supposed to be on cold.